Hi, first graders. It's Miss Gillikin again. So happy to be back with you today to continue our reading lesson. Let me share my screen with you so that we can begin. There we go. Welcome to our first grade reading lesson. Before we begin, let's review our learning target. For the past several lessons that we've been together, we've been practicing, I can identify the theme of a fiction story. So as we've been reading our fiction stories, we have been thinking about what is the message or lesson the author wants us to learn, because that's what theme is. It's a message or lesson that the author teaches us in a story, and we learn that lesson from the characters, but we can also apply that lesson to our own lives. Now, yesterday you had a reading response. You got to practice identifying theme by reading a fiction story called Running is for the Birds. And this story took place at the beach. So what we're going to do now is review our thoughts on theme, specifically based on the story Running is for Birds. So we want to ask ourselves, what are the important events in the beginning, middle, and end? How did the main character James act and feel? How did James change through the story? And what lesson did James learn in this story? So I have put together a chart for you to help us discuss this. At the top, you'll see that I put 3 illustrations from the story that really helped me to think about how my character James was feeling and how his feelings changed. Because as he changed throughout the story, he also learned a lesson that we can call the theme. So in the beginning of the story, James felt nervous and afraid. If you remember, he did not want to run to get his aunt to help rescue the seagull because he thought he would hurt his ankle again. In the middle of the story, his feelings changed. James became surprised and relieved because he realized that his ankle would not get hurt every time he fell. And in that middle illustration, that's where he fell down into the sand and he realizes my ankle isn't hurt again. So not every time that I fall down will I get hurt. By the end of the story, James is feeling confident and brave because he learned to face his fears. Once he fell down and realized he wasn't going to get hurt every time, he ran very fast to get his aunt to solve the problem of rescuing the seagull. But James also learned that when we help others who are afraid, it helps us to feel confident and brave. Because in the story, when James and his twin brother realized that the seagull needed to be rescued or that it could be in serious trouble, by focusing on helping the seagull, James became brave and confident. It helped him to overcome his fears by focusing on helping others. So we could say that the theme of the story is to face your fears and overcome them. Or think about helping others instead of worrying about what you might be afraid of in a certain situation. This story, Running is for the Birds, reminds me of Jabari Jumps. If you remember, we talked about how Jabari had to face his fears of jumping off that high dive. So both of these stories had characters that changed and learned to face their fears, be confident, and be brave. So now we're going to reread our story, The Big Box. We introduced this story yesterday, but I wanted you to practice a little bit with your reading response before we dug into the theme of the big box. So I'm going to reread the story to you. As you're listening or following along, let's remember to think about how our characters change throughout the story and the lesson that we can learn based on how they act and feel. So let's reread. The Big Box. And remember, at the beginning of our story, the author introduced the characters and then asked some questions to help us begin to think about what could be the theme or lesson we learn. So it says here, the big box. Tab and Socks find a treasure that doesn't belong to them. Should the friends keep the lost box and share the surprises inside? Or should the 5 friends try to find the owner and return the big box? What would you do? So again, when Bun, Pip, Socks, Tab, and Ted have to make a decision in this story, it helps us to think about what would we do in our own life. So that's how we can apply theme to our own lives. So let's listen as I reread. One sunny day, Tab is strolling with Socks. Look, says Socks, do you see that box? I bet it fell off a delivery truck. I guess it's ours now. That's really good luck. What do you mean? Tab says to Socks. We may have found it, but it's not our box. Someone must miss it. They may feel sad. If I lost a box, I'd feel bad. Hi, guys, says Pip. She's with Ted and Bun. What are you doing? Are you out for a run? We are out for a walk, says Tab. How are you? We found this big box and don't know what to do. I see a word, says Bun. Is it a clue? Maybe it tells who the box belongs to. Ted says, I can read it. It just says Pops. Maybe it belongs to one of the shops. I saw it first, Socks says. I'll decide. No one will miss it. Let's take it inside. Whatever it is, we can each have a share. Let's all just keep it. No one will care. Tab says with a frown, let's think this through. I don't think that is the right thing to do. We just need to know who it really goes to. Perhaps the word Pops can give us a clue. Maybe it's popcorn. Popcorn goes pop. I love eating popcorn, Bun says with a hop. Some books pop up. That would be fun. We'd read the books first and share them when done. What if it's lollipops? That would be sweet. This box weighs a lot. We'd all get a treat. Some toys go pop. I like those a lot. What should we do? We're in a tough spot. I think we should take the box into town. You may disagree, Tab says with a frown. Look, Pops is a name, Bun says with a smile. I bet he was looking for this for a while. They give the box to the kindly old bear. Thank you, he says. I am glad that you care. With the lid finally off, Pop lets out a cheer. Balloons for the party I've been planning all year. Here you go, kids. Each take one. Now it is time to have some fun. The friends are so happy, they start to sing. It always feels good when you do the right thing. All right, I love how that book has rhyming words. Did you pick up on that? Okay, let's go back now. We've reread our story, and now it's time for us to look at the important events in the beginning, middle, and end. In the beginning, Tab and Fox find a box in the street that fell off a delivery truck. Fox thinks they should keep the box and have what is inside it. By the middle of the story, the other animals who did not really agree with Fox convince him to take the box into town to try to find the owner who may be sad and missing the box. They decide to use the clue Pops to help find the owner. And by the end of the story, they find Pops' store, and the old bear is so happy to get back his missing box. The animals are also happy and start to sing. So now I have a question for you. What are your thoughts on the theme of the big box? Which answer below best describes the theme of this story? A, accept yourself just as you are. B, be honest, it is the right thing to do. Or C, teamwork makes any job easier to do. So I want you to think for a minute, which answer best describes the theme of our story? If you're there by yourself, I just want you to say your choice out loud, A, B, or C. If someone is there with you, you can turn and talk. Share your thoughts on theme. I'm going to wait 1 second. All right, are you ready? Did you choose be honest? It is the right thing to do. If you did, give me a thumbs up. Good job. On page 25, it says, the friends are so happy they start to sing, it always feels good when you do the right thing. And in this story, the right thing to do was be honest. They had to be honest and find the owner of the box, because just because we find something doesn't mean it belongs to us. And we shouldn't keep the things that we find if we know they're not ours. So it's be honest and do the right thing. You might have said something a little different. You might have said to do the right thing is to be responsible, because they were responsible when they did the right thing by finding the owner of the box. So you could have said your theme a little bit differently. But from our 3 choices, B, which says be honest, it's the right thing to do, was the best choice for our theme. All right, guys, you've done a really great job with me. We have spent several days working on identifying theme. So your reading response is another fun activity for you to continue practicing identifying theme. It's another interactive video with a story called The Too Tiny House. And as you read this story, you're going to get to practice answering questions. And ultimately, by the end of this story, you're going to have to decide what is the theme. What did the main character in our story learn? And how can we apply that lesson to our own lives? So let me stop sharing my screen for a minute. I'm going to come back to you. All right, there we go. So once again, what we've worked on is reading fiction stories to identify the theme. When we identify theme, we focus on the important events from the beginning, middle, and end. And we think about our characters or our main character. What do they do? How do they act? What do they say? How do they feel? And then most importantly, how do the characters change from the beginning to the middle to the end? And what do they learn based on the story? Once we identify the theme, we can then think about how we can learn that same lesson and apply it to our own lives. How we can learn to be honest and do the right thing in life, because it makes us happy when we do the right thing. So I hope you enjoyed our lessons, and I hope that you enjoy your reading response tonight. As always, I want you to remember to be safe, be well, and never forget that we miss you every day and can't wait to see you again. Take care. Bye.